Thank you Athletic Greens for sponsoring this video. These are arguably some of the most iconic and recognizable American-made furniture pieces from the middle of the 20th century. For that reason, I decided to dedicate an entire series to the Lane Acclaim Furniture manufactured from 1959 through the middle of the 1960s. Throughout this series, I'll be restoring and refinishing more than 15 different furniture pieces from the Lane Acclaim collection. I'll show Lane Acclaim furniture that has been painted, other pieces with the original finishes. I'll share my top 5 favorite finish choices if you're looking to refinish Acclaim furniture. I'll also disassemble these pieces to show you exactly how they're made. If you wish to stay updated with every episode in this series, be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to the channel. Welcome to Mad City Modern. My name is Barry. Welcome to episode number 2, the Lane Acclaim Step Table. I recently purchased 4 Lane tables from a local reseller for a total of $400. 2 of these are some of the most common Lane Acclaim furniture pieces found today, 900-07, or the Lane Acclaim Step Table. The previous owner had purchased this furniture from a local auction, and the original finishes had obviously partially been removed. Surprisingly, the original finishes were removed carefully so as not to destroy the thin layer of walnut veneer. Finding partially stripped furniture like this in excellent condition is very unusual. The very minimal water damage that's showing is likely exposure after the furniture had been stripped. These 2-tier step tables were very common and somewhat affordable in the 1950s and 1960s. They were commonly used as lamp tables, and for that reason, on original finishes, you typically would see a darker circle where a lamp would sit sometimes 50 or even 60 years. This, however, according to the Lane Acclaim catalog, was not referred to as a lamp table. That name was reserved for a different piece of furniture from the Lane Acclaim catalog. Almost all of the Lane furniture from this era was stamped with detailed manufacturing information, including the patent number, style number 900-07, which is the step table, and the serial number, which when read backwards is the manufacturing date, November 20th, 1964. While looking at the stamp on the second table for today's project, it's obvious these tables are not a matching pair, but the same style, 900-07. This table manufactured November 14th of 1964, just 6 days before the other table in this video, which could indicate that these tables were possibly still sold as a matching pair in 1964. More details behind the history of the Lane Furniture Company are discussed in episode number 1. However, it is worth noting these furniture pieces were made in Alta Vista, Virginia. Before I start the restorations for these tables, I wouldn't be able to make these videos without sponsors. So thank you Athletic Greens for sponsoring this video. I take my health very seriously, but one thing that I struggle with is eating regularly throughout the day when I spend 8 to 12 hours a day in the shop. I recently started taking AG1 every morning as part of my daily routine, and I feel great. AG1 is so much more than just a greens powder. It's a nutritional drink that I can rely on to give me the energy that I need to work throughout the day. It has 75 different ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. I'm most excited about the convenience of taking 1 scoop or a travel packet of AG1 with 8 ounces of water just once a day to get the energy I need. Not only do I know I'm getting the nutrition that I need throughout the day, but it also tastes great. The energy supporting ingredients include a natural form of B12, biotin, bioavailable folate, and magnesium. Go to athleticgreens.com/MadCityModern to get started on your order, and Athletic Greens is going to give my community a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. I'll start by removing the top tier from both tables. This simply involves removing 2 screws from each table. Because these tiers are also secured with dowels and glue, I'll reverse these clamps and use them to gently apply pressure so as not to cause damage to the surrounding veneer. I'll use a heat gun to loosen any glue before I apply the clamps. Because the top tier was assembled directly over the walnut veneer on the main portion of the table, I'll gently insert a scraper to make sure the walnut veneer is not being pulled up by the glue. With a dental tool, I'll resecure one area of the veneer that did start to pull up just near the dowel. Once the top tier is removed, I'll use a paint scraper and a small carbide scraper to remove the excess glue. There is a small split on the bottom side of the support for the top tier. However, this isn't a major concern since this is secured with a screw, glue, and the dowels. I'll apply Quick Strip Premium Stripper to remove the remainder of the old finishes from this table, and I've taped the underside of this table as you saw earlier in the video. This will prevent any stripper from falling through the holes where the dowels are placed. I also covered the base of these tables in order to preserve the original finishes on the legs. The premium stripper is intended to be effective in as little as 15 minutes. However, I'll leave this on for about 30 minutes, come back and scrape it off gently with a metal scraper. You could also use a plastic spatula if you're worried about leaving gouges in the walnut veneer. The premium stripper tends to be more effective when covered with plastic. However, in most cases, plastic isn't necessary, and all of the waste will be collected in old paint cans. I'll wipe most of the premium stripper off with a shop rag, then come back and remove the rest with fine steel wool and clean strip afterwash. You could also use mineral spirits. I'll move on to sanding these tables, and I discuss it more in the first episode of the Lane Acclaim series, but these tables are good examples of furniture pieces that should be sanded by hand. I have used an Orville sander on this thin veneer before. However, even when careful, all it takes is one minor mistake to create an irreversible burn in the thin veneer. I'm gently using the carbide scraper, scraping in the direction of the wood grain, only to remove larger sections where the paint stripper obviously did not remove the old finishes. Part of the appeal with the original design of these Lane Acclaim tables was for the sides to be curved, giving the impression that the sides were handcrafted. So it's important to gently sand these by hand to keep the original organic shapes. In order to apply the finishes that I've chosen for these tables, I need to end with 220 grit sandpaper. But it's important to work your way up through the grits, starting with coarse, so I'll start with 150 and work my way all the way up to 220. As I started the sanding process, I noticed more watermarks, so immediately I decided to raise the grain. I'm spraying the entire surface with water. I'll wipe all the excess off, let this dry, and then come back and sand. By applying water, raising the grain will allow the wood fibers to swell, making it easier to sand out any of the imperfections on the surface. When researching the history behind these Lane Acclaim furniture pieces, it's actually surprising how little information there is available. Some folks will tell you that the sides of these tables were made of solid ash, while some of the Lane Acclaim furniture ads specifically mention fruit wood. If you watch the first episode of this series, you'll see that the sides of these tables are mostly solid wood, but not completely. In fact, the dovetail design on the top of the tables is also a thin veneer. I decided to share this Lane Acclaim series specifically because not only do I enjoy collecting furniture pieces from this collection, but I've also heard from many of you across the world who also share an appreciation for this furniture specifically. I've also heard from many of you who have recently refinished these same pieces, so I hope that some of the tips that I share along the way help you when you're considering what finishes to apply and the necessary steps to take along the way. And some of you may not refinish furniture, but you've owned these Lane Acclaim pieces for many years, and maybe this will help bring a new appreciation for some of these pieces. I created this channel specifically to share my passion as it relates to furniture, and although I do discuss in several videos how to flip furniture for a profit, this channel is focused more on the therapeutic side of refinishing and restoring furniture. As a small business, I appreciate all the support that viewers have shown for this channel, and although it is important to restore and refinish furniture to earn a living, I also want to slow down and enjoy these projects, focusing on the history behind each and every one of these pieces. As I mentioned, I will throughout the series show 5 of my favorite finishes for these Acclaim furniture pieces. For this project, I chose a very simple oil-based wipe-on poly armor seal by General Finishes. This oil-based poly provides a very stark contrast between the dovetail design and the walnut veneer. I'm applying a very light first coat of armor seal in a swirling motion as directed by General Finishes. This swirling motion will allow the thin coat of oil-based poly to be worked into the wood fibers in every direction and also prevent any possible streaks. I chose a stark contrast for these tables specifically because the top tier still has the original finish on the sides, and the base of the table also has an original finish. So not only is there a stark contrast between the dovetail design on the tops of these tables, there should also be a stark contrast between the original finish on the base and both tabletops. I'm applying Howard's Walnut Restore finish to the original finishes on this table. I'll use fine steel wool to apply this. Let it sit for about 15 minutes and come back and wipe off all the excess. I'll follow up by applying Howard Feed and Wax wood polish and conditioner. Although they appear to be metal, the black caps on these furniture legs are in fact just an extension of the wooden leg. I'll do the necessary touch-ups with this black oil-based paint. There will always be furniture purists out there who believe you should keep all the finishes as close to the original factory finishes as possible. I will be applying tinted lacquer to several of these Lane Acclaim pieces in the near future on this Lane Acclaim series. For the last step, I'll use a paper bag to wipe down the surface of this table. It should act as a fine sandpaper and give this table a nice glass-like surface. The first episode of this Lane Acclaim series will be on my other channel this week, Mad City Restorations. Be sure to hit the subscribe button for both channels and hit the notification bell so you don't miss all the new content coming to both channels soon. Please let me know in the comments what you know about Lane Acclaim Furniture or the pieces that you may have. Also, stay tuned to the channel for a major restoration coming to the channel this weekend. Thanks for all the support. Goodbye for now.